definitely don't like my milk too much in the coffee. That little cup right there might be the perfect ratio whenever I want espresso. As you see, I'm finally back home from all the traveling, and I feel like this allows me to really learn more about myself, and it changes how I pack, especially when the places that you're going just doesn't make sense for you to bring a whole lot of stuff on you, and that essentially makes me pack a lot more intentionally. Now personally, I realize I can really get away with by packing with very few clothes. However, there's a couple of things that I learned from this trip, and if you know me, you'll know that I love jackets. However, they are usually the one piece of clothes that takes a whole bunch of space in the suitcase. So if I'm out traveling, usually I try to keep myself within like 2 to 3 jackets only. So a couple years ago, I bought myself a first kind of like outdoorsy jacket that's windproof and at the same time waterproof. This is the jacket I got from Jack Wolfskin when I was in Frankfurt. This one's got black and grayish patches all around it, which I love. Black, gray, blue, all these kind of colors. Now this is the jacket that got me thinking, what if I can just combine an outer layer jacket that's windproof and at the same time waterproof, can be a rain jacket. It also keeps me warm. Basically a multi-purpose jacket, if you will. This is just so functional. Like, it's got everything. It's got pockets, which I also love, especially if you're a photographer. When you're traveling, going out to take photos, you need like ND filters, extra batteries. You can just pop them in here. These pockets are just super useful. And most importantly, they look better than those like photography vests, if you know what I'm talking about. Although those vests are super versatile and very functional, they are just not the best looking, in my opinion. Now, what I like about this jacket is the very tiny detail. Is one of these chin guards. I'm not sure if all of these like outdoor jacket has that, but if you look closely over here, you can see that this is soft material. So whenever you zip up the jacket, it's not gonna like chip your chin and then make your like weird rashes on your face. And that just feels very comfortable. Now this jacket also has like a pit zip where you can open it up and then just kind of like ventilate whenever you're hiking and it gets hot. Now at first I didn't really care about this feature at all. I was just like, okay, I mean it's right there, but like I'll probably not use it much, which I was totally wrong, because like when you're hiking, this becomes very important. However, I didn't know that until like later. So in between, I also bought another jacket, and that is the Arc'teryx. I believe this is the Beta, one of the cheaper ones. Now because this one's like a lot more lighter compared to the Jack Wolfskin, that's mostly the reason why I got this jacket. However, this jacket doesn't have like a pit zip, which I didn't know how important that was at the time when I got the Jack Wolfskin and this jacket. Now because these jackets are super lightweight and I can pack them into like just tiny little cube whenever I travel, they have become like one of the most essential piece of gear that I bring all the time whenever I go out. And obviously this jacket also has this soft material whenever you zip up the jacket, which makes wearing it very comfortable. And at the same time, the pockets on these jacket are like on the top over here. So if I need to use my waist strap, I'll be able to access these two pockets as well, which is a huge plus in my opinion. Now if I can go back in time, I'll probably get a version of this, but just the one with the pit zip. Trust me, it's definitely worth it in my opinion. Now because this outer layer jacket is so soft and very lightweight, I'm able to bring like another jacket. And if I really want, I can also bring another jacket. So that makes like 3 jackets. At the same time, it doesn't take much space in my suitcase. And usually for the third jacket I bring, I try to bring a lightweight one. So if I need, I can layer these up like jacket within the jacket. And that has saved me a lot of space and time when I'm packing, because I don't have to think a lot about what I need to bring. And the same experience goes to my pants as well. When I first got the Jack Wolfskin, I was like, whoa, this is very interesting, very functional. So I started looking into like outdoor pants, and there's this brand that I come across, and it's called Fjallraven, I believe. Hopefully I didn't pronounce that wrong. And if you watched my previous Tibet travel videos, that's pretty much the pants I wear every single day, because it has like a huge zipper on the side where I can open it up, and if I'm hiking way too hot, I can just like use that as ventilation, and that has been super functional. And there are these two side pockets as well, where if I need to, I can put my gears in it, and it doesn't look too shabby at all. I've been wearing it throughout the cities whenever I can because of the ventilation system, and at the same time it repels water. Again, very functional. Now I'm still very new at this outdoor type of like gear stuff, but so far I'm very intrigued and interested in all these designs and the features that it comes with. As for the backpack, usually I carry this Peak Design 45-liter outdoor backpack, and for luggage I have the Peak Design Roller Pro for carry-on, and at the same time if I need to have a checked luggage, it'll be the Mono expendable check-in luggage. Now if I'm traveling internationally, I'll usually have a large camera cube in here or a medium one, but if I'm traveling domestically, especially for photography work, then I'll be using the extra large camera cube in the Roller Pro, which looks like this. Basically the camera cube fits right inside the suitcase that takes all of the spaces because, well, obviously I'm using this just for work. And one of the biggest reasons why it's a huge plus with the extra large camera cube is because it's taller. Like, it's deeper, so I can fit like huge lenses just vertically instead of, well, it doesn't really work with the 100 to 500, but like with the 70 to 200, the smaller one, not the bigger one, you can just leave it straight up, and that saves a lot of space. And there's just tons of space here I can organize, and I can just leave stuff in here. And this has been pretty much my go-to travel setup whenever I do domestic like photography work. And if I'm just traveling for fun domestically, I'll be using the Roller Pro and with maybe like a medium camera cube or even a large one. And the reason for that is because if I have my backpack and the carry-on suitcase here, and all of a sudden they asked me to check in my carry-on suitcase. However, all of my camera gears are in here, which I would never check in my camera gear. And when that happens, I can just transfer my medium camera cube or the large one to my 45-liter Peak Design outdoor backpack. And oftentimes I'll have all of my clothes in a packing cube in the backpack, so basically I just do a swap. And this way I'll be carrying all the camera gears with me in my backpack and check all of the packing cubes with all my clothes and all the other stuff in this carry-on luggage. Now that actually never happened to me before whenever I'm traveling domestically, and I usually fly with Southwest and occasionally United. So far so good. I hope I don't jinx myself here. But this has been a very, very usable hack for me, especially I'm usually traveling with camera gear. And you probably don't have to use Peak Design's Roller Pro suitcase. You can find another one that opens up like this and that fits the camera cube inside as well. This will definitely work. I just personally use this one because it's perfect for work whenever I'm like on a shoot, and the drawbridge here, the opening system, and just the way it's just perfectly designed for like photographers. And honestly, I feel like anyone would appreciate the design here and just the way how you use the bag. If you're interested in a more detailed breakdown of the Peak Design Roller Pro carry-on luggage, I have a video which I'll probably put it up here so you can check it out. I also always throw in an AirTag inside my backpack and the suitcase, as well as my passport wallet here. Now this is not an AirTag, but it works just like an AirTag from Peak Design, this beacon card. These safety measures just keeps everything in check and gives me a peace of mind whenever I'm traveling, especially international. Now speaking of which, if I'm traveling internationally, like I'll actually have this Roller Pro suitcase inside the Mono's expendable suitcase. Now this is when I'm traveling to the country, so I can just have one backpack on me, which means I'll have to carry all of the camera gear on me. If I have a lot of stuff that I'm bringing, obviously I'll have the camera gear in here and traveling with both items like the backpack and the Roller Pro here. But if I don't, I'll just be carrying one backpack and have all the suitcase all together. This is what I usually do if I'm like, I know for sure I'm buying stuffs at the place I'm going, and then I know I'll be bringing some stuffs back. This way I only have to check one item whenever I'm going to the country, but when coming back I'll have to check two, or maybe have this with me with my backpack if the airline that I'm flying doesn't give me 2 free check bags. So here's the thing, I don't have a sling or a fanny pack. I've tried those before, sling backpack, and I just never really like it. I never enjoy wearing it, it's not comfortable, and at the same time it doesn't look good, at least the one that I tried. And I also don't use a fanny pack because it's just usually too small for whatever I need to bring. Now instead, I always have a light jacket on me. First of all, because you always look good with the jacket. Come on. Second of all, there's usually pockets on your jacket, and if not, I'll try to bring one or wear one that has pockets. This way I'll be able to like leave small accessories, items that I need, either for camera gear or just a chapstick, alcohol spray, small things like that. And that's usually more than enough, at least for me. However, if I arrive at the destination and there are just a couple of days where I don't need to bring all of my camera gear, this is what I'm bringing with me on those kind of days. It's a small messaging bag. I believe this is 6 liters. It's a very recent, well, not very, but quite recent purchase for my previous trip to Taiwan. And I usually have this little messenger bag inside my check bag. Or if I don't have like a check bag with my Moto's luggage, then I'll have this inside the Roller Pro. And the size is just right if I actually need to switch contents between my backpack and the luggage. I'll be able to fit this inside my Peak Design 45 outdoor backpack. So this messenger bag is from Wotancraft, this Taiwanese camera bag, well, a leather good store, if you will. And essentially it holds pretty much like a body, camera body, a couple lenses, maybe 2 to 3 if you really want to like fit it in. And obviously maybe like smaller primes will fit in here as well. Just the way it looks and the customization that you can have on this bag is impeccable. This messenger bag basically becomes my everyday bag whenever I'm traveling at the destination. And this allows me to track very light and easy. At the same time, there's like water bottles here on the side. 2 sides actually. They're a little tight, but very secure. And the padding on the strap is also very comfortable, which is a must whenever you're carrying cameras. Now here's a couple things that I learned throughout all these travelings. Let's start with traveling to China first, because they are a little different. If you're traveling with camera gear, you want to make sure that you pack all of your spare batteries inside a pouch, like any pouch really, like this one would do. And the reason being is because they want to check every single spare battery. So it'll be a lot faster and easier if you can just hand them like a bag of spare batteries. This way they can just go through it quickly, and they'll appreciate you for sure if you do that. Now you can leave one battery inside your camera, like a battery inside your main camera and maybe like any of the cameras, maybe your drone, but all the spare batteries has to be checked separately. Now if you have a multi-tool for your camera gear, definitely don't bring that. They will 100% be confiscated, because that's exactly what happened to my multi-tool when I brought it to China. Now on the flip side, if you have friends or family that lives in China, they actually offer a system where you can put on their address and then ship the item to your friends or family. All of these free of charge. This way you don't lose the item, and at the same time you'll be able to like go back and get it whenever you need to, or maybe have them send it back to you to the States. So that was what I was able to do with my multi-tool. I feel like this is something that most people don't know because they've never been to this kind of situation. However, you can still bring something like this, an Allen wrench here. This is totally fine by itself. It just can't be all together inside one tool for some reason. So if that ever happens to you, just be polite and ask if they can like ship it to like your friends or anywhere that you can think of. Unfortunately, I don't think they can ship it internationally. Another thing that I always try to keep in mind is to make sure that I pack everything in the checked luggage if it's not critical for the very first 2 days of the trip, or if they're not like too valuable or small. So this way, if I lose my check bag, I'll still be able to function like as a person in the first 2 days. So for example, I always have my tripod in the checked in luggage and keep a small tabletop tripod like this, just in case if I ever need it for a photo in the first 2 days. So I'll always keep my camera body, lenses, battery chargers, laptop, all of that is going to be on me. Another thing to note is that most airlines will focus more on the dimension of the bag instead of the weight. If you can, try to have your camera gear or heavy items on you, on the backpack. That's why I usually go with the Outdoor 45 liter because it looks slimmer compared to all the other camera bag that I've tried. It's not as bulky as it looks. At the same time, it fits right under the airplane seats if I need to, where the size and dimension perfectly match most of the airlines that I fly with. So a general rule of thumb is to just look like you're carrying like not heavy items, even though it's heavy. So just try to look normal whenever you're at the gate or trying to check your bags. I feel like most of the time airlines will ask passengers to check their bag is because the overhead bins are full, and they usually offer to check your bag for free. I guess one way to avoid that happening to you is to have like priority boardings, maybe have a good credit card with the airline. This way you'll be able to board faster on the plane, at least domestically speaking. If you're traveling internationally, I will avoid those like smaller, cheaper airlines if you can, because oftentimes they'll have like a smaller weight and dimension limit of whatever you can carry on you, which makes what you can bring to the trip a lot more difficult. Personally, I just don't think it's a good use of time to look for smaller bags or just pack differently from the way you're used to, just for those limit of smaller airlines that you're traveling internationally, maybe like once in decade or maybe even lifetime. All of that just to save a little bit of money. Obviously, if you really have to take that kind of airline or maybe a leg that has a good limitation of whatever you can bring, then yeah, by all means, you have to figure something out in order to get to your destinations. If everything fails, you're at the gate and they ask you to check in your camera bags with all the electronic camera equipment, where you just have no other choice. You can try and politely to ask and like communicate with the agent saying that you have a lot of lithium batteries in your bag and a lot of like electronic gears, which essentially becomes a hazard on flight if those batteries are not with you on person, which all of that is true. However, you want to try to make it complicated to the point where they feel the need to ask someone else or reconsider all these situations in order to avoid you checking in your bag. So hopefully all these experience and tips and tricks helps whenever you're on your next travel with your camera gear. Now I know I haven't even touched on the camera gear that I usually bring, which I'll be covering in the future videos, and there might be some change in that as well, which I'm quite excited about. So yeah, stay tuned.